Here's a ridiculously easy way to improve grades fast. Now, if you're someone that's been trying out different study techniques and moving around with your schedule and organizing stuff, trying to improve your grades, but you just can't figure it out, then this video is for you. My name is Daniel, and I help high school students get better grades without sacrificing their time and the things that they love to do. A lot of people think that getting good grades is some sort of secret, and they feel overwhelmed with all the different study tips and things that they use to try to optimize their grades, like organization, tactics, softwares, note-taking structures. And it's all just a bunch of bullshit, to be honest. And now, don't get me wrong, they do help, but that's not what you should be focused on if you're trying to improve your grades. And the reality is that if you just break down academics into just two parts, then it becomes so much more simple and so much easier to understand what you did wrong and what you could improve on next. And those two parts are known as quality and efficiency. A bad student doesn't spend time on their academics and gets bad grades. An okay student spends an okay amount of time to get an okay grade. A good student spends lots of time to get a good mark. A smart student spends the same amount of time as an average student but gets grades higher or the same as a good student. So, which one are you? The reason why I ask this question is because I want to emphasize the importance of efficiency and quality. Because you're not watching this video because you want to be a good student and spend all your time wasting away and trying to get a good grade. You're here because you want to know how to get a good grade without sacrificing all the time. You want to hear to learn how to be a smart student. For most people, the first thing they need to improve on is quality. Now, if you want to get a good grade, naturally, you have to be able to do it in the worst circumstances before you do it in the best circumstances. And there's an analogy I like to use that helps it explain a bit better. So let's say you're a baker and you're trying to bake cakes so that you could sell them to everyone else. You wouldn't bake a cake that is absolutely terrible and start optimizing for efficiency or making an automated system for a cake that tastes like shit, right? No, you would have to first figure out the secret recipe for how to make an amazing cake, and then you would optimize for efficiency, automate the system, find a process to make it faster, all those different things. But like I said, you need to focus on quality before you focus on making it faster. Now, this does not mean you can just neglect all the bad habits, such as procrastination or working in a shit environment or not scheduling your time, because those things are extremely important and you should do the bare minimum before you even start working anyways. So, clean your environment, make sure you don't have any distractions, because how else are you going to get started in a proper way? And if it helps, it's like the baker analogy again. Before you start baking your cake, you need to get all your tools ready. You need to make sure the kitchen is clean, right? So do the bare minimum. But now let's go in depth about quality and efficiency. I'll talk about quality first because, like I said, this is the one that most people should be focusing on before they even optimize for efficiency. Now, when we talk about quality, we often think of the end result or the final mark that we get. But obviously, if we're trying to get the best mark possible, then we need something to actually help us determine whether or not our work is going to be good before we submit it. And so these are some of the indicators of our success that I have come up with. Some of them might not be applicable to every single type of assignment or test, but for the most part, a lot of them should fall into this category, and you should be able to use at least one, two, or actually almost even three of them for almost every piece of work you do. So I will list them out right now. Quantity of work. Obviously, this depends on what exactly you're doing, but for example, if you're writing an essay, it would be the number of words on your essay. If you're studying for let's say a math test, it would be the number of questions completed. And if you're making some sort of arts and crafts project and you need to create some sort of physical product, then it could be the number of products created. Obviously, you've heard the quote, quantity isn't quality, but it's still one good indicator of our success, although it is not the definitive indicator, which means it doesn't make or break the mark that we're going to get, but it puts us in the right direction. The second one is vocabulary and keywords. Now, it doesn't matter if you're doing, let's say, English or science, if you're doing anything with writing or explaining stuff in it, vocabulary and keywords can help you a lot, especially it just makes it look like you know what you're talking about. Now, this one is not as impactful because sometimes teachers don't really care, and it depends on what class you are. But in classes like English, science, maybe history, keywords are pretty important. And in terms of presentations or making a script for a presentation, keywords and vocabulary can be very, very impactful, and they can also elevate the way you speak, for sure. The next one is relevance to the rubric. Now, this is one of my favorites because it's super, super easy to do, and it basically looks at exactly what the teacher wants. And so if they don't give you a mark, even though that you've done everything you've said on the rubric, you can challenge them. And it gives you a great excuse to challenge them because you said, well, this is the rubric that you gave me and this is what I did, right? But obviously, I'm not here to talk about challenging the teacher, but I digress. The rubric is a very, very strong indicator of your success because it tells you exactly what you need to get a level 4, 95 and above, 100%, right? And for assignments, this is especially useful. I don't think that in tests this really applies, but like I said, not all of them are going to be applicable to every single piece of work. Originality. This is another assignment-based one. And originality it's not a super, super impactful one, and it's not a super, super great indicator either. But, for very niche topics like, for example, English, again, or history, civics, research-based stuff, even science, you're going to need originality. And it's not just references, but it's also just the originality of your concept, what you're talking about. Can you make a new idea or an idea that's not very common? Because teachers like that shit. Now, this one's very important. No matter what you do, even if you write 5,000 words in an essay, if they're all a bunch of garbage, then it doesn't matter. The teacher's not even going to read it, right? And so this is where depth of concept comes in. With any assignment, the depth of concept needs to be very, very strong. And what I mean by that is you need to have a very complex idea, an idea that's not just two-dimensional. It must be an idea that, one, has relevance to your topic, two, goes in depth about certain things, and three, has connections. For example, if you're writing a play, the depth of the concept or how deep the story is crucial to the enjoyment of the play itself. If you're writing an English essay about, for example, the impact of phone addictions, you can't just say, oh, phone addictions make people procrastinate and that's not good. You have to talk about it deeper. You have to talk about the emotions, the psychological effects. You have to talk about the societal impact. You have to talk about the environmental impact. There's so many different things that you can go in depth about. And this is what I mean when I say the depth of the concept. Next one is information memorized. Now, this one is more so for presentations and tests. Information memorized is a very good metric because it's one of the metrics that is the cold hard truth. You know that you've memorized this, and this. No one can dispute you on that, and I think it's a very good metric. It's also one that's pretty common as well. There's not a lot of people that really have trouble with this one. But yeah, memorizing information, the more you memorize, the better the quality or the better the indicator of your success in a test or a presentation, because you know your stuff and you're going in there more confident. And the last one is going beyond the standard. So this one is a little more assignment based, but basically you're just doing extra stuff, going above and beyond, because usually it'll help you stand out from the rest of the assignments and get a better mark. Oh, I spent a lot of time on that, but now let's talk about the efficiency aspect, and this one will probably be a little bit faster. So once you've been able to get a great mark from using the indicators or some of the indicators from the list I just mentioned from quality, now you can start improving on the efficiency of your process. So there's lots of tips on how to be more efficient, and most of the tips you see online about how to be better at school is usually tips about efficiency. I like to break down efficiency into two parts. The first part is work or productive work being done. The second part is wasted time or procrastination. So when you start work, there's two of those parts in there. Either it's productive work or it's wasted time / procrastination. And productive work is based off of your focus and attention span, and that can only be trained by just sitting there and working and progressively overloading the time you're focusing and sitting there and just working at it, right? There's not much you can do. You just sit there and work, and over time you'll get better and you'll focus more. Now, obviously, if your attention span is shit, you can train that with other ways, like just looking at long form content, looking at hour-long podcasts. But like I said, if you just sit there and work really long, you'll naturally just build up the skill of being able to focus. Now, procrastination or wasted time can be handled in lots of different ways, and I'll just really quickly list them out. So here we go. Getting rid of distractions, organizing your environment, switching work environments, saying no to your friends, setting priorities so that you know exactly what you want to do, when you want to do it, breaking down challenges into smaller topics, automating some systems, keeping yourself accountable, whether that it's with yourself, with technology, with a friend, and setting many deadlines. And for the purpose of not making this video too long and too complex, I will just leave those there. If you have any questions about that, I can obviously go in depth, or I can make another video, up to you. Now we're reaching the end, so I just want to consolidate the information just so you know exactly what we learned today. We learned that to improve your student life, you need to become more efficient and you need to have better quality work. The next thing that we learned is quality comes before efficiency. And if you don't remember, let me use the baker analogy once again. You can't sell and mass produce a cake that tastes like shit. You need to first make sure that it tastes amazing. And this is exactly the same with getting good grades. You need to make sure that the work you're putting out is proper before you start trying to cut down on time and make things faster. And after this video, this is what I want you to do. If your grades aren't at the level you want them to be, then the first step is to do as much as possible using the quality metrics we mentioned before to get that good grade first. And it doesn't matter how much time you have or how much time you spend on the assignment or test, you must meet all the quality metrics that apply so that you can ensure that you get a good mark. You keep doing that until you stop getting the mark that you desire or your standard mark anymore. Because at that point, maybe you just slipped up, or maybe you went into another year and the concepts and the work is harder. It doesn't matter. As long as you continue to ensure that you get the highest mark possible and continue to optimize for efficiency and repeat the cycle again and again, it's the most straightforward and easy way, and not to mention a pretty fast way of improving your grades. And I just want to throw a quick disclaimer out there for people who are thinking, well, I need efficiency as well as quality at the same time, because we need to, how can I work if this and that? I'd say that it's fine. You can optimize for some parts of efficiency and quality at the same time, but make sure that the end goal is always quality if you're trying to get a higher grade. If you've already gotten the grade that you want, then you can go all in on efficiency, but until that point, you need to optimize for quality. And if efficiency is part of the cost, then by all means, make it more efficient, or make your place more organized, make a schedule or something to become more efficient. But other than that, quality is key. Thank you for watching this video. If you want more stuff like this, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you later.